Oh, welcome back to the Not What You Think post-game. Keep pounding here with Bobby at Tacos and Slurpees. Second 50 burger here, Bobby, in 2 seasons. Coming right around the same time. Was last year like week 9?
It's like week 9, week 10, somewhere around there, yeah.
Yeah, I don't like talking about them, believe it or not. But here we are as tuning into the Chiefs Packers. Yeah, thanks for hopping on with us off across our various social networks, whether you're on the Riot Report, Facebook, YouTube, here on our Twitters. Here to salvage what we can out of this Sunday here, which I had a lot of high hopes for, Bobby.
Right.
I thought this might be where we show the NFL that the Panthers are kind of in that running, even though earlier in the week we called them not a powerhouse. But definitely in the running for at least maybe a wild card. I think this is going to be a really tough year to win the division, but I've had a lot of things to say about the 49ers. I thought Jimmy Garoppolo is overrated. I might still think he's overrated. Me and you talked about how, this team has let up almost 100 yards every game to backs, maybe, spare a few. And coming off that London game, with this, was it 7 turnovers, 5 sacks? We get a little bit of a taste of that medicine here over in Santa Clara, which is not kind to us Panthers fans, wearing the black too. Why can't the Panthers play football in San Francisco, Bobby, or Santa Clara if you want?
I mean, lack of preparation each time. I mean, we've played there well once. I think it was in 17 where we beat those guys. I think we might have dropped 40 that game. But listen, we're looking at a team that's not prepared, and they weren't prepared on either side of the ball. And you beg to ask the question: you have 2 weeks to prepare for a team, just for one team, not multiple, just one team, and you let up 51 points, right? And it's just mind-boggling. It's baffling to me to watch a team prepare for 2 weeks, and the best they can muster is 13 points, but they allow themselves to be laid down on a bed and walked over for 51 points. It's just odd. I don't mind the fact that you lost. That's fine. That's fine. But you're not going to convince me that the 49ers are 38 points better than the Panthers. I'm not going to believe it, but I will believe that this is a la Ron Rivera and what he normally does. People keep saying that, well, he's won 4 straight off of the bye. My question to those people are, what teams were they and how close was the game? Were there some bonehead decisions during those games? And we can break down those games in the future, maybe even next week on the pod if you like. But Ron Rivera's teams are often unprepared against playoff caliber teams. Let's just call it what it is. And this is just Ron Rivera all over. I'm not going to blame the defense. I'm not going to blame. Everybody wants to point fingers. My question is, if both sides of the team look at the exact same, then that only falls on one person. That's the head coach.
Yeah, I mean, all the talk this week was, is Ron good or not off the bye? And, historically, we've always kind of joked that he wasn't. And then, I know people like Mac and even you were quick to bring up that it has changed lately. But do you think the bye had... Or do you think the London game? Let's talk about that for a minute. Do you think the London game had any effect on preparation for this game? Do you think that maybe was, I don't know, kind of I don't know if I want to use the word distraction, but you go in there, you win a game handedly like that. You're in international game. You come off. You have a bye week. Now you really haven't played a normal, American game in a while. And do you think that had any effect on this game at all?
I mean, maybe for a little league team, but for grown men who get paid millions of dollars to come out and prepare and play a sport, I don't want to hear that. I don't care if you had to go to Asia and play and come back. That's no excuse. You're paid millions of dollars. And plenty of teams have gone to London and won the following game against good teams. So listen, I'm not using any excuses. We tend to, and I know you're not using an excuse. I know you were asking the question, but I, for one, am not using an excuse. You had 2 weeks to prepare. 2 weeks. It'd be different if, they sent us to London on a Thursday night game and, it was really short and they gave us like a week to prepare. Or if they sent us out to London on Sunday and we had to play again on Thursday. Listen, you got 2 weeks, man. Like that is more than enough time to get to where you need to be at. A lot of people are saying, well, they flew across country. And well, if that's the case, teams' records when they fly across country to the opposite coast, get out there a couple of days beforehand. Don't wait till Wednesday or Thursday to leave. Leave Monday. Yeah, 2 weeks. Figure that out during the 2 weeks. That's what good head coaches do. Again, I'm not saying I want Ron replaced because looking around the NFL, I don't know who I would replace him with right now. However, I am saying that when Ron is going up against a good offensive minded coach or a good defensive minded coach, he often gets out coached. A lot of people go crazy when he beats, random teams across the league, like, a traveling coach like Bruce Arians or whatever the case may be. Listen, man, when you're going up against offensive minded coaches or strong defensive minded coaches, we always get out coached. And this has nothing to do with this has nothing to do with anything else other than every time Ron plays against a coach who is a good coach, he's out coached. That's all it is.
Yeah, Kyle Shanahan, obviously a lot of familiarity over there on the other side. Did a lot today. When we went to this game, Bobby, we said, what's the big, what's the game plan is obviously to shut down that run and make Jimmy Garoppolo beat you. Well, Kyle Shanahan did a lot to avoid that part of it and really kind of limited, I feel like, his own quarterback and schemed with a lot of the things that we saw the Rams and other teams do in the first few weeks. A lot of those misdirection plays. Mm-hmm. We talked about our biggest fears in the season. You brought up that interior of the D-line. There were a lot of plays where I don't really know what you call it, but where you kind of fake a reverse but quickly give it to another guy cutting up the middle that just absolutely tore up the interior, whether you want to blame it on the linebackers or the linemen. I don't know. I'll have to, I guess, look at the film and see who's not in the right spot here. But those plays absolutely destroyed the Panthers today. Screens, which is, as you know, if you've listened to this pod, always my Achilles heel with this team. I can't remember. I mean, yeah, give or take a couple games, but I can't remember a year where the Panthers just didn't get crushed by screens. And I think that they kind of strive by not being in a position where teams can really run them, like long distance situations. But tough one, tough area for the Panthers today. What what kind of concerns does that bring for you? I mean, is this, was Breida really just getting the ball and running up the middle? I mean, in the beginning of the game, he kind of was, but a lot of these big chunk gains were on kind of those, I don't know if you'd call it a trick play, but it's kind of right on the line.
Yeah, I tweeted that multiple times today. Yeah. And again, remember last week I said you guys wanted to talk my head off about Gerald McCoy and Big Vern. Well, I wanted to see them this week. Remember me mentioning that? I wanted to see how well they play against a good team, not a team who's been one of the worst teams in the National Football League over the last decade, right? They weren't there. And what the 49ers did, and I mentioned this a couple times, they ran quick plays and trick plays. This is what they did. The Carolina Panthers are so gung-ho on rush fast, right? There's no balance and then rush because they can't afford to do that. The Panthers are very, very good when they rush fast because they get to the quarterback. I know that sounds like common sense, but it really isn't. Think of it this way. The Carolina Panthers don't necessarily have the speed on the front four. They have the speed in the linebacking core, but they don't have the speed on the front four or front three, depending on what defense they're running. So therefore, they go all out. They don't hesitate, watch for a play action. They don't hesitate and do anything. They just go. An entire first half, what the 49ers did was they hiked the ball. I don't know if you can count how many times you thought we almost had Jimmy Garoppolo. That wasn't because of our defense. That was because of a design. The offensive line was literally letting them get through, and he would like do a quick flick or a quick toss or a halfback draw. And you have two linemen on the left end, two linemen on the right end, and they're going right up the middle because the entire time the running back was either sitting on the side or the tight end, Kittle, leaked out, or either, Breida leaked out, or they just gashed directly up the middle because what they did, they let Carolina do what they do great, but they use it against them. You're going to all out rush your four guys. You're not going to sit one back, or you're not going to, a lot of people don't know, sometimes defensive linemen play patty cake. I like to call it patty cake. And they're there for a reason, just in case a halfback draw comes, they can just reach out and grab the guy or push the lineman into their own guy. They weren't doing that. They were just rushing really quick, and they let them. They said, hey, you want to full blown rush me? Come on, do it. And watch what I do. 2 seconds, boom.
Yeah.
Sometimes not even 2 seconds. It was out. And that goes to show you what Kyle Shanahan knows. He knows this quarterback probably, Garoppolo can deal with the game. He can manage a game, but he knows these guys are going to come in. They're going to test Jimmy Garoppolo. They're going to try to put pressure on him. What I'm going to do is I'm going to allow them to beat themselves, and I'm going to play under it. I'm only going to take what they give us. We're not going to force anything, and they didn't. Kittle was wide open. These guys were wide open. We're talking about plays where, the running back, even if they ran to their slowest, they were going to get 5 yards. These were gash yardage plays. Every single quarter, the 49ers had double-digit points. Think about that.
Mhm.
Every single quarter, with the fourth quarter being their lowest at 10 points. What they did was they used the Carolina Panthers strategy against them, and Kyle Shanahan game planned for this game very well. It was almost as if the 49ers had 2 weeks to game plan for the Panthers, and he did very well.
Yeah, and when you talk about that aggressive rush, I mean Brian Burns, I don't did he even how much did he play today? I didn't really get to look at snap counts. He was in the game, right?
Yeah, I haven't checked the snap counts yet. I can't tell you how much he was. I remember seeing him on the field. Maybe I'm crazy, but I remember seeing him on the field. Listen, he just had wrist surgery, so I don't know how much pressure he can put on that wrist when he's trying to, get past pass blockers and he's trying to move their arms, or if he's coming off of the line. I don't expect much from him for the next 2 weeks. People don't realize that wrist plays a whole lot and you getting by these blockers. So I didn't expect much from him. But what I did expect was for guys like, Gerald McCoy to continue what he did last week, guys like Vernon Butler to show me consistency. And that just wasn't there. Kyle Love looked the absolute worst that I've seen him ever. Like literally, there were plays where the runner was right beside him. He was not running. He would just reach out and try to grab them, and they would bolt right. We all know Kyle Love isn't fast, but these guys were right beside him. He was giving little to no effort today. The entire line was a joke. Luke Kuechly had 10 tackles, 9 solo tackles. I tweeted earlier that further lets me know if you have 9 solo tackles in a game, then you play Madden. You know what that means. That means you were the only tackler probably in the area to make that play, right? If a player has 10 total, maybe 3 solo, that lets me know he had help. This guy had 9 solo tackles out of 10. He's out there by himself. And that's really sad because when you take a look at Eric Reed, 8 tackles, 7 solo. Trey Boston, 7 solo. Vernon Butler had 6 tackles today, 5 solo. Listen, man, Bruce Irvin, 5 tackles, 5 solo. There are really no assists today. That means these guys were making tackles basically by themselves. And that stands out to me. So it was a lot that stood out to me today. Like you mentioned, this front seven was atrocious today.
Yeah, I mean, you see, looking at the stats here, you got to go pretty far down the list before you see, one of our true DNs even on the stat sheet here. I mean, Mario
Right.
Addison, a pretty quiet day, 2 tackles. Burns isn't even on the stat sheet.
No.
Bruce Irvin, really the only one. I like Bruce Irvin, Bobby.
Oh, we know.
Final, kind of the only guy getting in there on defense. But before we even get over to the offense, I think there's the one thing that's saving the whole Kyle and Cam and offensive breakdown is how bad the defense was. And
Right.
I think that I always joke that when I watch Panthers games and even Patriots games, I can tell you in the first 5 minutes who's going to win that game.
Mhm.
It's just it just seems like it goes off the rails right away. And watching that game, I just looked at that sunny field. It looked weird because it's dark here in Boston, but sunny on the TV. I hate that. I hate time zones. They're like my new thing that I don't like. But and it just felt wrong from the very beginning. So not much to be said at
Right.
all about the defense. Besides Luke, I thought that pick might have made it a game earlier.
I
Say
thought it was
hey,
game changing.
yeah, like hey, we've looked awful, but here we go. Now we're going to give Kyle that starting field position like they've been talking about and leading the NFL in actually. But
Yeah.
let's flip it over to the fun stuff. Kyle Allen finally throws his pick, and he didn't just throw one pick today. He threw 3, Bobby. One of them was pretty bad. So it doesn't get that record. Doesn't get to pass Tom Brady. Maybe he did. I don't think he did.
No.
That would have been nice. But finally, I don't know if I'm just going to put it on Kyle, but the offense finally grounded. I mean, besides that, what one thing that we talked to Eric Crocker there, who was rubbing it into us on
Yeah, he
Twitter,
was.
comes out of nowhere with a Vince McMahon gif. Touche. Um, but one thing he said was nobody has moved this ball or the ball against this 49ers defense, and really the only thing that we could be excited for was that run that McCaffrey broke off. Just great blocking, a lot of even misdirection there, I guess, kind of. Um, wasn't wasn't the craziest run of anything. He just kind of followed his blocks. But besides that, I mean, there was almost no moving the ball at all. It kind of reminded you of what this team should look like with Kyle Allen. And one of the things that stuck out to me that I watched this when I was watching this game was when I called you before the game. We
Right.
mostly talked about Call of Duty because obviously that's sick. But but one of the things you said that stuck with me is this is a game where you need a mobile quarterback. You said that to me.
Right.
And there were a number of times in this game that Kyle tried to take off and had room on his feet, but he's just not that guy.
Right.
How much does Cam Newton change the offense if he can pick up those first downs on his feet? That a lot of them were 3 and outs early in the game that really pushed him back and gave the 49ers big field position. So the whole game, I remembered that quote.
Hmm.
Why did you say that pregame, and what did you see during the game that either supported or went against that?
Well, one of the first things that stood out to me, to be completely honest with you, it was whenever you're playing against the top defense in the league. Honestly, you either need a mobile quarterback or either you need a two-headed run game. One of the two. We don't have a two-headed run game, but we do have a mobile quarterback that unfortunately isn't playing right now. So when you take a look at the Carolina Panthers and you take a look at the San Francisco 49ers, it was going to be the team that could move the chains, not by long plays, but 3rd and 1, 3rd and 5, those small things. And that's what stood out to me. That's why I said it earlier. And this would have been a game. And I'm not saying Cam Newton would have not gone from 19 for 37 like Kyle Allen did. I'm not saying Cam wouldn't have thrown 3 picks. But what I am saying is Cam on those plays of 3 and 8, when you're looking, or 3 and 11, he changes the game. He introduces a dynamic that not many quarterbacks can do. We're watching Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson be able to bring that dynamic to the game. Here's how that dynamic is brought to the game. You can't just watch Cam Newton as a linebacker to spy him. There's a difference. You can't watch him for a second and then leak out on the tight end. You actually have to hold a spy on Cam Newton on a lot of third downs. That changes the game. Greg Olsen is no longer double teamed because now you have an extra eye on Cam Newton on third down. The slants that Curtis Samuel runs, that's no longer blocked any longer by a potential safety, because now that safety where the linebacker would have been is now helping that tight end from previous. Like, it changes everything. And that just doesn't help in the mobile game, but that also helps free up a player on third down for Cam Newton to hit. That's where we missed him today. We missed him in the run game, and we missed him in confusing the defensive game too. And it just doesn't do anything for the offense or defense. When you have a quarterback who's going 3 and out consistently, the defense is right back on the field. They just got off. They may have just gotten you the ball in decent field position, and you do nothing with it and put them right back on the field. That doesn't do anything for either side. And I think Cam Newton may not have necessarily won this game today, but I think he makes it a possession, giving the defense rest, moving chains, and that's when you can start talking about wearing down a defense. That's what you want to do to a top defense in the league. You want to frustrate them. On third downs, when they're ready to get off the field, you have a quarterback who can extend plays with his legs consistently, and that would have changed this game. Again, Kyle Allen has done a great job in managing this game since Cam Newton has been gone. We're 4-1. Think about that. Cam Newton went out, we were 0-2. We're 4-1 since, with a total record of 4-3. That's something to be happy about, right? Kyle Allen was due this game, whether it happened against the 49ers, next week against the Titans, or the following week in Lambeau Field. He was due a bad game. It was just going to happen. Everybody has those games. From Brady to Rodgers to Breeze, they have these games. However, the thing that stood out to me was I felt Kyle Allen was just giving up on the game. He was just going through the motions. He didn't have the heart for it. And again, I don't question this man's motives on the field. I'm just saying his heart showed me. They cut to him on the sideline. He just kind of tossed his helmet. He was kind of pouting in a sense, which I don't blame him, right? I mean, the media has been hyping him for 4 weeks. Well, actually 5 weeks. You kind of give into that essentially, right? And mentally, he was probably out of it, and it showed. Cam Newton's really never mentally out of a game until the game's over. Sure, we've seen him pout, we've seen him sulk, all that stuff, but he'll gives it and he still goes. And I felt like that, those differences make a huge, huge change in this game.
Yeah, but he puts that towel over his head though, Bobby.
He puts the towel over his head, whether we're down 21 or up 21.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, I mean, like I said, tough day for Kyle because the thing that I brought up is I know that there's all the fumbles, so I'm not going to say he doesn't turn the ball over, but for the past 4 weeks, I've been saying one thing that I think has had contributed to his success, which I don't know, you can agree or not, is that he hadn't thrown an interception. And because I think that, when you're a quarterback and you get hit and you fumble, I think that's a lot easier to get over than, oh my God, I misread that
Yeah.
route. The guy jumped it. He got the best of me. It's harder to come back from. So I think that not throwing an interception helped not only Kyle's confidence, but also kind of allowed the Panthers to punt the ball and go fine. 3-0 is better than just turning it over. So
Right.
I think that helps the field position. That helps the defense pin them deep. So I did attribute the fact, and I wasn't, obviously wasn't on the train of keep Kyle in and don't bring Cam in. But I was saying the fact that he has not thrown an interception was a big check for me.
Right.
I think that that's where he
Right.
really impressed me and really kept this team winning. And then you see him once he threw one today. I think that maybe that helped him kind of my argument as to, okay, now it's starting to maybe affect him. He's
That was real.
taking too long to throw the ball, not stepping up, kind of forcing balls. And I don't know, maybe that broke him, or maybe the 49ers defense is just that good. That's one thing that we're not doing right now, which we should do, Bobby.
No, we shouldn't.
It's not that it's not the Panthers, not that the Panthers got run over by the Dolphins here. I mean, this defense has been stopping everyone. We kind of gave the argument that, okay, maybe they haven't played the top teams, but I think that defense is for real. Boza for sure is for real. I think he was on Kyle's mind pretty early in that game, and
I don't know, man. I disagree,
tough.
but
You disagree?
yeah, genuinely. I mean, come on, Dan. I mean, they
Boza?
beat the Buck, huh?
Wait. What do you disagree with me on?
I disagree about giving the 49ers credit. I mean,
Oh, okay.
they won a football game. That's what they're supposed to do, right? I mean, I'm not gonna. To me, this was more so, and I don't normally say this. I give teams a credit, and credit where credit is due. They won, but I'm not just gonna make it seem like they're just these almighty 49ers like the media is. I mean, they beat the Bucks, whoop de doo. They beat the Bengals, whoop de doo. They beat the Steelers, who were what? They were learning their offense at the time. No AB, no Le'Veon. They're trying to get it together. They beat the Browns. Who isn't beating the Browns? They beat the Rams. They're up and down trying to figure out Jared Goff at this point, and that defense is suspect. They beat the Redskins and only scored 9 points, and they beat the Panthers with a backup quarterback.
Okay.
Tell me one impressive win. And this isn't to say that the Panthers aren't a good team, but at the end of the day, we're 4-3. We're not 7-0 or 6-1. We're 4-3. Could very easily be 6-1 right now, but we're 4-3 with a backup quarterback who just, to be honest, has played. To me, every team is a real football team, but he's played the most complete football team, and he couldn't throw a touchdown, right? So who have they played? What quarterback on any of those lists or defenses on any of those lists have impressed you? Because none of those defenses are top 10. None of those quarterbacks are top 10. So what else impressed you?
Well, I mean, I was just impressed with how much they just shut down the Panthers today, I guess. I don't. I mean, I'm
Tampa
not.
Bay shut down the Panthers on week 2.
Yeah, I guess.
Christian McCaffrey didn't even have 100 total yards in that game.
Tampa Bay was the leading rushing defense for a while, so you
Right,
shut
right.
down
But I'm
Christian
just saying.
McCaffrey.
I'm just saying. You said that they shut down the Panthers. We've been shut down before this season.
That's true. Okay, so you're still not giving the 49ers credit. Maybe we'll have to have Eric Crocker back on.
Do you know who I think the 49ers are? I think the 49ers are that team that are going to go 14-2, either 13-3, and they're going to lose in
They get,
the divisional round. They're going to have a bye, and they're going to lose
okay.
in their first playoff game. They're going to go home.
Okay.
Jimmy G is going to come out in that
Well-
playoff game, stink it up, because they're going to game plan for him. They're going to lose. That's just who I think they are.
Okay. Well, I mean, I do think Jimmy Garoppolo is overrated, and I hate people in Boston love seeing him win because it just means that the Patriots, whatever they touch, is awesome. So that kind of annoyed me too. But yeah, I think one of the bigger stories we'll kind of touch upon last year. Thanks for hopping on with us, by the way, guys. It's It's always fun to talk to you. Not fun to talk to you after 51 points, but well, I guess it still is fun. So thanks for hopping on whatever network you're on. Leave a comment below. We'll throw it up on the screen. But the last thing is, just a few days ago, Bobby, we talked about this wide receiver situation
Mm.
and this trade deadline coming up, and even some free agents out there. Um, Jarius Wright took a pretty big kind of sweep the leg, and he
Hmm.
had to be helped off the field. But I mean, regardless of him in there or not, you have Brandon Zylstra kind of muffing a punt back there. He's the Panthers' fourth depth chart receiver right now. Especially if your quote was that with the Panthers having DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, and Jarius Wright, if they had had Jonathan Stewart right now, you would be all over the trade market.
Right.
But when you add Christian McCaffrey, Greg Olson, and then if you have, I think we have a guy named Ian Thomas. I think.
Yeah.
Your point was that maybe you don't need to go reach. So Jarius Wright, though, I think we kind of got a little nervous there because on the live show on Thursday, someone mentioned the depth right now at receiver could lead to what happened in 2017. Are
Mm.
your thoughts seeing Jarius banged up there any different than they were Thursday?
No, because remember my thoughts on Thursday were not to waste um, draft picks, but hit the free agency. Call Michael Crabtree. Call Des Bryant. Listen, you don't. Nobody knows what AJ Green is made of right now. He hasn't played since 2018. Like come on, he hasn't played like since week 13 of 2018. Nobody knows how he's going to look. The rest of these guys up here on the trade market, Robbie Anderson, they're going to want at least a third round pick if they don't want more. I just ask, are these picks worth it? Are these guys really worth you, like, in a sense, trading away a good draft? That's my only thought. Is it not worth calling a for sure vet, like Crabtree or Des Bryant? We don't need 1,000-yard season out of them. All we need them to do is be able to catch a third down ball. That's it. That's it. You're not looking for a number one. You're looking for somebody to suffice and fill a role for the rest of the season. That's it. Now, if you're starting to talk about you don't believe in DJ Moore or Curtis Samuel to be a possible number one in the upcoming years, then yeah, maybe you want to call AJ Green and see if you can get a good 2 or 3 years out of him. All right. But other than that, what is Robbie Anderson going to give you that you don't already have on the squad? Because those are the two main names being thrown around right now. What are they going to give you that you don't already have or that you cannot get out of a guy like Michael Crabtree?
Yeah. I mean, I
You
think,
know?
yeah, you're right. And I think that Hogan and Jarius Wright were kind of those guys, like you said, the third down guy. Um, I don't know. I mean, I don't know who's out there that's kind of is that third down guy. I mean, am I crazy for saying I wouldn't hate if the Panthers talked to Josh Gordon?
No, I wouldn't hate it either because guess what? It's not going to cost you a pick. The Patriots are rumored to cut him in 2 weeks, or they're going to waive him in 2 weeks. He's not going to cost you anything. Josh Gordon is going to sign for a veteran's minimum. You could probably get away with giving him next to nothing, and you could bring him in. I'm all for that. I'm all for signing guys. I'm not for trading away picks. And I just don't believe in any of these wide receivers to come in here and make a huge change. And to be completely blunt with you right now, I don't think anybody's going to change our season this year that we bring in off of the street, period. Whether you trade or you sign somebody, they're not going to be the change in the season. The change in the season is going to be Norv Turner either being a consistent offensive coordinator or having to go. That's going to be the change. This defense is going to have up and downs. They're going to have it. We've seen it over the last 3 or 4 years. But when it comes to this offense, this is the offense that we have been waiting for. These are the guys. Remember, we kept saying we can't wait till Curtis Samuel gets healthy. We can't wait until DJ Moore stops fumbling. And when these guys get to that pace, now it's just like, okay, well, I mean, what's next? Are they going to be used? I mean, we know Chris Jeffrey's going to be used, but are these other guys going to be used? Again, we talked about Ian Thomas. We know he's not in due to the blocking, but we can't block anyway. It's just like, does it really matter if Chris Manhertz plays over Ian Thomas at this point? We can't block anyway. I understand playing Chris Manhertz in a game where it's a fourth quarter game and it's tight. Cam needs an extra second. I get it. Put Chris Manhertz in the game, whether it's Cam or Kyle. We got a close game. But when you're getting the doors blown off of you, you're getting the dogs walked on you, like, put this kid in the game. Greg Olson already ain't getting looks. Just put this kid in the game, run a 2 tight end set, or either just sit Greg for the rest of the game. Let's see what he can do. Like, you're not even giving him an opportunity to show that he's improved in the block game. So at this point, I just don't know what to expect. I'm just pointing fingers at more so at Norv than Ron for the most part. Granted, this game was horrible. Ron's responsible. But when it comes to the overall look of the season, it doesn't matter who you bring in here. If Norv Turner is going to continue to give you this consistent inconsistency, as I like to say.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Norv is he's always I feel like his spectrum is just kind of either high or low. Like there's no middle. It's he'll impress the hell out of you one game, and then you're
Mhm.
just like, did you lose your playbook? Like what
Right.
where were all the things that we did last week? There's nothing creative happening, and Kyle Allen's just looking at nothing, or even Cam, and and I think that the past few weeks, the past few wins. I mean, the Jaguars win, and the the Bucks win in London. I thought Norv. I had no problems with Norv. I don't. Did you?
I didn't have any problems with him, but when you can only give me 2 games out of 7, I have a problem with you.
Okay.
When today what happened is you saw Kyle Allen finally know what it's like to be Cam Newton. Today was
Perfect.
the first day that he knew what it was like to be in number one shoes. And that's what we're seeing. They basically said, Kyle, go out here and win us this game. He couldn't do it.
Yeah.
He didn't get close to do it. 38-point difference.
With
He
Cam on
didn't
the
get close to it.
sidelines too. I don't know. Maybe he felt some. Maybe he felt some pressure.
Well, he's not ready for the league. If you like, here's my thing. Like, again, these are professionals. If we're talking about middle schoolers, high schoolers, possibly collegiate athletes, I get it. But I mean, we're talking about the National Football League, dude. Professionals. Kyle Allen is not a rookie, right? He started multiple games. He know what it's like to get hit. He know what it's like to make mistakes. If the man whose job you're holding down for the moment intimidates you just by being on the sideline, dude, you ain't ready for this league. You're not ready. I mean, Cam Newton was celebrating with these guys when they were getting, especially when they got the safety, he was celebrating. He walked over to Kyle Allen a couple times to get them together. He's supporting you. He's there with you every week, helping you go through the playbook while he's been out. So him being on the sideline, if you're intimidated by a guy who's been walking you through things and teaching you the game, you're definitely not mentally ready for this game.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, 51 points again. Usually these are the games that you just try to forget, like we all tried doing in Pittsburgh.
No, you don't forget these games.
Well, I mean, as an NFL team, I'm not saying you actually forget it, but you just got to go move forward. Like you can't dwell on this too much, right?
Right. You can't dwell on it,
And
but I think that's Ron's issue though. He always says we're going to move forward. No, dude, you don't just move forward from a 38-point smacking. You need to look at some film. He said that last year in Pittsburgh, and you saw what happened to the rest of the season. And everybody keeps blaming Cam's shoulder, but we did not adjust after that game whatsoever, even when they knew Cam was hurt.
yeah, well, I mean, they should have recovered, the game after Pittsburgh and righted the ship, but Graham Gano, didn't want to play football in Detroit. So I mean, as long as long as you got a game against the Titans coming up. Very winnable game. Again, when we talked today, mostly about Call of Duty, by the way, we I mentioned that I'm kind of worried that you talk NFC powerhouses right now, and you got the 49ers who I'd throw up there obviously, and you got the Packers, and you're sandwiching this Titans game in the middle. Um, if Cam's ready to go, is now the time?
I mean, I think you have to. I mean, if Cam was ready to go this week, it would have been the time. I mean, here's the thing that gets me media wise. If Cam goes Sunday, the story is going to be Kyle Allen played so bad that they pulled him for Cam Newton. It's not going to matter what happens after. It doesn't matter what the truth is. The media is going to write, Ron Rivera, the Carolina Panthers pulled Kyle Allen after horrid game. No, that's what the headlines are going to be. Cam Newton's going to step in, hopefully get us a win. But I'm so up and down on this because if we lose against Tennessee and Cam comes back, then it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. Then they're going to say, oh, you yanked Kyle Allen and you still lost, right? I think Cam Newton should. If I am the head coach of the Carolina Panthers, which I'm not and never will be more than likely, I bring him back against Atlanta November 17th in Charlotte. I don't bring him back in the middle of arguably the beginning of a tough stretch, right? Against an undefeated team in the 49ers, and you place him right in the middle of that to say, okay, you come back at home against Tennessee, who is, by the way, last time I checked, they were the 8th ranked defense, but that was before Thursday's game. They're the 8th ranked defense last time I checked, and you bring them back home against them, and then you send them out to Lambeau. I don't know how I feel about that. But if he's 100%, you have to, right? You have to. But if you know he's not fully ready yet, let Kyle Allen get back on the field. That's what he's paid to do. If I'm the head coach of the Carolina Panthers, I'm not bringing Cam back against anybody except for Atlanta.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's hard because we haven't seen Kyle statistically play as bad as he did today.
Right.
I mean, you can pull up your game film and you can say he should have thrown to this guy, and here's the bad read. Sure. But I'm talking on the stat sheet. This is the first time, and that was kind of my joke that I threw out there. I said, there's a lot of people in the world, meaning that the Cam haters that needed to see this Kyle Allen and not go, hey, this dude got a W, he should be starting. And I guess I had a funny thing with Dave Damashek there where I thought that he was looping Panthers fans into wanting to trade Cam, and I found out the hard way. I don't know what the word anxious means. He used the word anxious, and I thought he meant like Panthers fans are excited to trade, because I think he wrote, Panthers fans, you still anxious to trade Cam and build around Kyle Allen, basically using it in a nervous sense.
Right.
And I thought he was saying something else. But anyway, there is that. We obviously don't have to bring that whole story up, but I think this did quiet a lot of people that said, "Oh, damn, maybe this team does need Cam." Especially, but although when your team's letting up 51 points, I'm not sure who's going to really pull you in there. But like I said, I think Cam, even if he played this game and even if they lost, I think that he's moving the ball, and the field position of this game changes a lot. Even with the Cam Newton from the first 2 weeks, just the ability to just get away from Bosa and all that. So.
Yeah, I think the 49ers would have turned up 2 times as much as they did today. They would have been, you bring a Cam back against us? I got something for you. It's different behind center. These teams get up against Cam. The worst teams in the league, they want to sack Cam.
Yeah.
Because he celebrates a lot and he's a showboater, and we love it, right? But they don't, and they want to stop it. So I'm glad we didn't bring him back today.
Yeah, of course. He did make the trip, though. Obviously, good to see Cam. Finally good to see a pregame drip chronicles photo sort of from Cam. I haven't seen the suits in a while, so that was fun to see.
It was.
But again, tough day. Saints pounding Arizona. A lot of people picked Arizona to win that game, so the division is just getting a lot scarier. Breeze back, selfish Breeze, as you say, is back.
He's very selfish. Extremely.
And the NFC just keeps getting tougher here with a lot of these teams. So,
I mean, listen, we're only 2 games back, y'all. 2 games back from the South. New Orleans, they played well with the, kudos to Bridgewater while Breeze was out. But listen, let's really quick. The Saints' last 4 games of the season are not a slouch. They have the 49ers, the Colts, the Titans, who have a good defense, and we don't know what's going to happen at the quarterback position for them. Then they play against Carolina in Carolina, right? So their last 4 games of the season could be very telling. If we can go 500 over these next few games and possibly get New Orleans to drop 2 or 3 over the next few weeks, it can it can be very, very interesting. But the Carolina Panthers have to win next Sunday. They have to. Like, this is not a game that they can afford to be one of those games like the Chicago game was a few years ago. Like, they have to win this game. It's on your schedule. You have to beat this team. This is the team you have to beat, because if you lose here and then you go to Lambeau, you don't want to be on the end of a 3-game skid. Like, that's basically gonna all but put you out of the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
So then we start talking about it is even worth bringing Cam back if you're not in the playoffs. Right. So, if you ask me, I think you wait this out and you bring him back when he's healthy, fully healthy, whatever that means.
Yeah, I hope so. And actually, as I'm going through your tweets here, Bobby, it's funny. My buddy, there's a Cam picture when he's looking at the field down 44-13, and he's making this crazy face. My buddy goes, "That's going to be a meme." And there you are, Bobby. Already putting it out there. So anyway. We don't have to dwell upon this one too much. Again, I think, like you said, coming off winning this game against the Titans is you can't drop this one at all. This is just must-win. Especially it kind of reminds you of all the games that they should have won and were must wins last year. Yet they were still somehow kept in the playoffs. So no reason to throw out any hope yet. I mean, 4-3.
Now, yeah,
Still
4-3, man.
4-3 with a lot of things going on with your team isn't a bad place to be. With
Yeah,
losses to the Rams, the 49ers, and I guess you should have won that Bucks game. But you're dropping games to the Rams and the 49ers here. You're not losing games to the Bengals and the Dolphins.
right.
You're right there, and I think that it's funny that the game that kind of derailed last season, this 50 burger embarrassing thing, could be kind of the other way this year. It could be the return of Cam. We might be on the verge of a fun story coming up if Cam comes back with this same team that before today at
Mhm.
least could actually protect. So
It'd be great. It'd be great for that to be a story. I'm just hoping that, whatever happens, forget the stories for a minute, man. Just take care of our quarterback. That's just how I feel at this point. When Cam comes back, make it purposeful, protect him, and do the right thing. Like that's all my focus is right now. Like I'm not even worried about the winning games aspect. Just protect that man, right? He's gonna give 100% when he's out there, even if he's not 100%. But just do right, man. Like you haven't done right by him for almost a full 9 seasons. Like just do right by the guy. Just protect him. Make sure he is 100% when he comes back, and not halfway. And you put him out there and he re-injures himself, or whatever he's dealing with. Just protect the kid.
yeah, so we'll see. I'm excited for it. I think the world's excited for it. I did fear the microscope that he'll be put under, but Tennessee, again, in the comments there, someone threw in, is the perfect rebound game. I think this defense can claim its identity back, get Burns back in there 100%. McCoy had the right pregame mentality with the "we want this smoke," but now we're unfortunately just a ESPN highlight
He was
uh,
turned into smoke.
the wrong way. So, but I think that if the defense can reclaim that identity, get that starting field position back, I think that was one of the big things today for the Panthers. Going into this game, leading the NFL in starting field position, they were backed up a lot today, and
Yeah,
you saw what a full field Kyle Allen and Norv Turner can kind of struggle with, especially against a juggernaut defense like that. So
for sure. But before we finish up, man, like just to look at some bright spots. Luke had a great game. Bruce Irvin, absolutely amazing game. He had a safety, he had a sack. He actually had 3 tackles for loss. Bruce Irvin, as you stated previously, you said he was going to be good, and he did it. Egg Reed, he had a penalty at the end, but he did have a sack. He did have 8 total tackles, 3 for a loss. Again, they were probably on plays where the game was over, but we do have to highlight these guys. And again, as we say every week almost, Christian McCaffrey is carrying the Carolina Panthers. He had over 150 yards of total offense, 117 on the ground, a touchdown, only on 14 carries. We had some positives in this game, but more negatives than positive, and we got a week to get it straight.
we sure do. At least we don't have 2 weeks like the. I don't know if that'd be a good or bad thing at this point.
No,
With
and
the
Greg Dort should be back next week too.
he should. I think that was a big one. I mean, obviously you don't have to touch upon it too much, but we see we went into this game wondering who was going to return kicks, and I would have taken Ray Ray today. No, right?
Man,
I
I'm
mean, at
telling you,
least he
dude,
moved
like
the ball a
if
little
you
bit.
yeah, I mean, if you're not going to use Curtis Samuel on offense, everybody keeps saying, well, you might get hurt. Listen, he could get hurt like running a slant. Put him at punt return, man. Like the kid can make plays. And I think that's a difference. Like, people forget Smitty returned punts for a long time for the Panthers, for a long time. And he was, arguably one of our best players, if not the best at one point. So listen, man, put the playmakers back there. When you're losing, you need a playmaker to give you a spark.
Sure do, and that's one thing the Patriots are really good at. You see them at least move the ball on almost every punt return. Obviously not the fair catch ones, but you need a playmaker back there. Whether it's a
Right.
special teams guy that you want to bring on, Terry Godwin's out there. I have no idea what happened with that. Everyone was praising him, and now it's like they don't even want to look at him. And why not, right? I mean, you tell me he's worse than anyone else on the roster right now. I find that hard to believe. But anyway,
Yeah.
going into the Tennessee game, coming back home, Bank of America Stadium. I think this is a big game for a rebound. I think this can kind of get it back on track. Let's not have that Pittsburgh thing happen again, and we'll collect our thoughts from this one because obviously everyone a little emotional right now, especially with the Cam and Kyle stuff. Maybe it put it to bed for us today, and maybe it's actually a good thing that this happened in some weird, bright side of things that we can finally talk about why the Panthers need Cam Newton back there. But also the Panthers need to make some stops on defense. So let's not fool ourselves here. But hey, going into Tennessee game next Sunday at home, Titans game. This is one of the biggest ones, man. And like you said, can't go into that Packers game on the bad side of a 3-game skid. So
for sure.
we'll gather our thoughts. We'll be back earlier in the week. Maybe I think Wednesday we'll be back doing another live. We'll see what we
Yeah.
think then. Let our heads clear, and hopefully maybe we'll get some trade news and maybe or some receiver news, I should say. Even though you don't think they need one, I'm buying in that they do, Bobby.
Man, listen, Ron better make a good decision because I really think if Cam comes back as early as next week, he could still be fired at the end of the season. Even though his MVP missed the first half of the season, he could still be fired. He better make the right decision, whether it be trading somebody, signing somebody, or getting the best out of what he has. He better do the right thing.
Yeah, let's see it. And again, like you said, hey, we still got to see Greg Dortch back there, so maybe we don't know what we have yet. We'll see. But hey, drop us a line. Thanks for joining us on all the social networks tonight. We go live on the YouTube Riot Report, Facebook Riot Report, and on our own Twitters. I'm at Keep Pound In. Bobby's at Tacos and Slurpees. You know where we are. Let us know in our comments if you have anything else. And otherwise, we'll catch you guys on Wednesday and keep pounding, I guess.
Yeah.
Jeez. Later, guys.